Hi everybody, Jeff Simon here at NBAA 2025. I'm here with Alan Bufkin. How are you doing, Alan?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good to see you. And we're here at the Hartzell booth. In this case, we're going to talk about Hartzell Engine Tech and really now Hartzell Aviation in what's going on. So I did an article for AOPA recently that had to do with the increased demands on electrical systems in aircraft. Mm-hmm. I think owners are adding so many new things, whether things that they even think save energy, like LED lighting.
Which they do, but then they go with the air conditioners and...
Oh, now you're taking a shot because he knows that I put air conditioning in my plane. Right. Well, it's actually both, right? So when you add LED lighting, one of the things that I've noticed as a mechanic and as an owner that's done that is that the average amperage draw on the system is much lower than incandescent lighting and strobe lighting.
Yes.
But the momentary pull, the draw, when the LEDs just go on, especially if people time them together or do something like that, is actually more of a spike than the system's used to. And then as you mentioned, if you decide you want to add something like I did and put air conditioning on, well then you're drawing all sorts of other things, even though mine's a mechanical system, still has a fan that draws a huge inlet. So my point is, it turns out that this puts an enormous strain on the electrical system of the aircraft, and Hartzell has an answer to that in many ways, and I've found it for our Bonanza in these two products. Tell me a little bit about this alternator, the C14 or C28 that I've used. This is a different version of it, but very similar, 6-pole, and also voltage regulator.
So there are two, you have direct drive, you have pulley.
Yep.
You have 28 volt and 14 volt. Basically, it is, like in most older systems, all is 3-phase. This is actually a 6-phase alternator. It uses a hairpin stator as a 6-phase, so it's more efficient than a 3-phase.
Yeah.
What the real basic it boils down to, it gives you have the ability to be higher in the curve at idle than you do with a 3-phase.
I've noticed that. So I've noticed that I'm right at idle, and I've got full power. I've got everything I need for all my electronics.
That's correct. And the issue is not just on air conditioner systems. You got guys with GIS camera systems. There's some other specialty stuff out there. And you have these high draws of usually around 40, 50, 60 amp. Uh-huh. And what this does at idle in the air conditioning system, as we're saying here, it already puts you in that curve about 70 or 75 amps. So you have the ability to run on the ground great in a training situation where you got a student you're training, or you have the family so no one complains. You got the air conditioner on. But that's really its real specialty, is being able to give you that power at the low idle versus a 3-phase system.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a strain they've kind of put, how much capacity they're drawing compared to when their aircraft were shipped in the 70s or in the 60s.
That is true.
And they're they're thinking like, well, now I've got a glass panel. Well, now I've got 2 Navcom radios with high power output. Yep. Well, now I've got ADS-B. Well, now I've got a better transponder than I had before. And then on top of that, you mentioned family, and one of the things I've also seen is that people go in and they start putting in all the power outlets, because everybody wants their device charged.
USB chargers, yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so now we're talking about USB fast chargers. We're talking about power for an iPad charging in the front, for everybody's phone, for whatever's going on there. Look at how many amps those draw. Like some of those are like a 10 amp max draw out of one power outlet, and then they've got 3 of them going.
Yep.
So, we can have a lot of stuff going on. I've found that makes a huge difference with that plain power alternator. And in my case, for direct drive, that's in a 14-volt aircraft, that's a C14-100.
Yeah, and both are exactly, they're very similar, except yours is a direct drive, but a 12-volt system is 100 amp, and a 24-volt system is 150 amp continuous capability.
Wow.
So you think about the package with 6-phase, its size versus its weight. It's about the same size as the old DOFF, but size and weight, it's a powerful little package.
Wow, and when you consider that these aircraft often came with 50 or 70 amp alternators, and now they come, you're talking 100 or 150 amp, that's a huge difference. And it even comes, I've noticed, with a test card when it came new.
Correct. Everything that leaves our factory has a test sheet with it from actual factory,
which shows the amperage output is above with a spec.
They are. The alternator itself, you're rated at 10,500 RPMs is max, and there's a max rating, but everything at the factory is actually tested to max. Now, the nominal, what we would do would never be 100 amps, but at the factory it's actually tested above.
Got it.
So it's a not a hard test, but it's a full test.
So the other thing that made a big difference for me with our installation was a voltage regulator. And you've got the plane power voltage regulator. This is the R1224. Tell me a little bit about this, because we came from a mechanical regulator
Analog
in
style.
the aircraft, an analog style basically regulator that was used in like the older cars, the same technology used in cars during the 60s and 70s.
It's true.
And now going to a solid state voltage regulator, I don't see the same fluctuations in my ammeter. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So the 1224 regulator has reverse polarity, over voltage protection. Basically everything's built into the package now, in that little package. It's digital, so what it's doing is it's able to actually sort of think a little bit, so you don't get sort of the error side of safety errors you get where you'd get a circuit breaker tripping for your
Or
field.
an over voltage spike.
Right, which wouldn't have been, but it's erring on the side of safety, where the digital can look at it and know, is it a true OV spike or is it just an ism?
Right.
So it gives you the ability to be able to look at that power more cleaner and essentially control more, I guess you would actually say, control it more
Like accurately and progressively.
Accurate,
because I know there's some heuristics or something built into it where it's looking at it, where I have had the spike that's so momentary that an analog voltage regulator would say, hey, that's a problem, that's a runaway.
It's set
And
to a
this
certain
knows,
thing, and it's
right.
trying to err on the side of safety, where this one can kind of look at that pattern and know, is this real or is it not real?
Yeah.
So it does have some advantages too. And of course you have the ability with this regulator too to have sense, so you can take sense either actually in the system from the bus or directly from the regulator. So you have an ability to put like a true sense on it versus like it's set now for enable to sense. There's a lot of different ways that you can rig it, depending on how efficient you want it to be.
Right.
And it's versatile. I mean,
Wow.
it's really a Swiss Army knife of regulators.
Well, it works really, really well. I mean, and I like, just a tech tip for anybody who's out there, this cover comes off and there's an adjustment inside where you can adjust what voltage you actually want your system to be at. And for that, check your battery, because the specs that come with your battery are going to tell you not just what the voltage should be for battery charging for the particular battery you have, whether it be like a Concorde or a Gill or something like that, but in addition, it also affects temperature. Because I've noticed in that chart, it's actually looking and saying, hey, you know, if its average temperature outside is 30 degrees, then 30 degrees, sorry. Someone just walked through. So anyway, average temperature of 30 degrees is a big difference than average temperature of 70 degrees.
That's right.
Or 90 degrees.
And a little bit about battery too, whether you got lead acid or you got lithium, you have to pay attention to that battery, because some of these lithiums, they want a 13.9 or a 14.7 or 14.9 charge, so a little bit higher field charge. That pod allows you to adjust and meet that, because nowadays you have these more modern batteries which has that field which could be different, so you need to pay attention to that battery. The other thing too, besides being able to adjust that field pot, this regulator's dual voltage as well.
Oh,
you can inside there's two jumpers, so you can make it 12 or 24, the regulator itself. That's why it's called the 1224.
Yeah, you order it a certain way, it comes with the jumper set, but if you need to change it, you can.
You can field change this to a 12 or 24 volt. It's the regulator itself too is pretty universal. There's only 3 back plates for a Jazzco, a Bravo, which is a little bit wider backing plate for generator systems, because this is also used in the gen conversion kits, but this is the standard 1224. Got it.
All right, well, very good information. I'll tell you that this made a big difference for us, for our charging system. And so I recommend it to anyone that you know, having a modern alternator, having a modern voltage regulator, and you're also going to see some new stuff out of us because we've upgraded our cables with Boker cables, and having quality cables without having resistance in the system also makes a difference. And so it all makes for a healthy electrical system to power all the goodies that everybody wants to put in their panel and let everybody bring on board.
Yeah, and it's the most modern system digital that's out there right now in the market. And this is the only 6-phase alternator in the market right now.
Wow. Well, Alan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all of it. For NBAA 2025, I'm Jeff Simon. Be sure to check out socialflight.com and the free mobile apps for Apple and Android devices. It's one word, Social Flight. We've got our Fly to Win Challenge prizes being given away. You name it, there is a ton out there, and you get more programs just like this. Until next time, I'm Jeff Simon. I wish you all blue skies.